observations from Kasana Uwero, where you are. Wishing you a very good morning as you carry on with your work. Now, in the meantime, it's very well, thank you. In the meantime, let's head over to Zimbabwe, where Ivan Kawa is, and he is with the returning officer, ready to give us an update from that side. So let's get straight into it.
Well, good morning, dear viewer. You're watching BBC Live. My name is Ivan Kawa, and we're broadcasting live from Zimbabwe district. As from yesterday, we have been at the Tally Center, and quite a number of issues have been witnessed during that day until now. But since we discussed quite a number of things from the days yesterday, I am joined by the returning officer to give us an update. Many people of Zimbabwe who have been following BBC TV have been eagerly waiting for the announcement of results, but we want to hear from the OC's mouth of what exactly is happening, when we should expect the results to be released. Good morning, sir. Kindly tell the viewer your name and then give us an update regarding the electoral process and the tallying. Why haven't we yet gotten the results?
Good morning. My name is Gracious Adija. I'm the returning officer, Zimbabwe district. Yeah, we've been here since yesterday. We started receiving the results at around 10:11, and we commenced with tallying. And as I talk, we are progressing very well. And in a few hours, we might begin announcing candidates. It is a hectic program, since we have to capture all the returns from each polling station. But we are progressing very well, and very soon we shall be declaring the winning candidates.
There were some queries that were raised by one of the contestants, specifically the woman MP candidate. How did you handle that situation, and is there anything the returning officer can do when someone raises a dispute about the electoral process?
The law is very clear. If there is any dispute during or after elections, there is a way how it can be addressed. And considering what was happening yesterday, it was a day for voting. And at the end of the day, we received returns in form of declaration of results forms. And the role of the returning officer is very simple. Just receive all the envelopes, tally them, and after tallying, you announce the results. And it's what we are doing. In case of any candidate who is aggrieved, there is always a way of redress. So we advised her that yes, we are announcing to the public such that if you have any, if our DR is not tallying with yours, then you can maybe go ahead and use it for redress. That's what we advised her, and I hope she will take it up.
Have you received all the results from each and every polling station in the district?
Yes, we have received so far all the results from all the sub-counties, and we are now tallying, and not until we reach at the end of tallying, then we can easily identify that maybe one or two polling stations have not been submitted, and we follow the process that we always follow.
Are there any provisional results for someone who is watching there? Is there any provisional assessment you can give to the viewer regarding how their candidates are performing?
The provisional results are always there, but we don't want to call for excitement, call for jubilations, and yet at the end of the day, you find after tallying, maybe results have changed. So we ask all the candidates who have contested that be calm. When we are done with tallying, we are going to announce the results.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your time.
Thank you too.
Well, that is the returning officer. He has given us a brief on when we should expect the results to be announced. Tallying is still ongoing, and we are still here. I'm also not going to leave this place until we get the final results. They have read quite a number of results from different candidates, and And right, one can say there are candidates that are performing well, there are candidates that are not doing well, and there are candidates that are extremely doing bad. From Sembabule district, there are candidates, specifically presidential candidates, who have gotten zeros. Absolutely 7 of the candidates have got a 0 at one of the polling stations, save for the NRM candidate, that is President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. And as you can see in the room, that is the table. For those who have just tuned in on Good Morning Uganda, that is the table where the returning officer is seated, and every calculation is being done from that specific point. That is the tally center. And then on the left, you can see the screen. There is a screen there. That screen is displaying some of the information in case anyone wants to be abreast with what is exactly taking place, where the votes, the candidates and the polling stations and the number of votes. I can see there are quite a number of figures, but as the returning officer said, that they do not want to excite the public. That's why they decide to at least give it time before they do announce the results. Now, a recap. In Sembabule district, you have the Sembabule district where there is a competition between the women representatives, and these are 4 in number. You have Mary Begumisa of the Independent, you have Florence Mbazira for the National Resistance Movement, you have Nina Kakonda, that is Nina Rose for those who know the artist, she representing the National Unity Platform, and Esther Kinkuhire running as independent. That is for the Sembabule woman member of parliament. Then of course you have 4 constituencies in Sembabule district, and these include Maogola North. Maogola North had 6 contestants, and among them include Aine Kabuta Sodo, who is representing the National Resistance Movement, Chigongo Francis representing the Forum for Democratic Change, you have Chigonya Angela representing the Democratic Party, and Liazi Moses, PFF, Tumwewa Zejet running as independent, and Twine John running as independent. In Rwemianga County, one of the other hotly contested territory where you have Brigadier General Emmanuel Rashande, you have, that is for the National Resistance Movement, you have Theodore Sechikubo of the National Resistance Movement, Brigadier Joseph Amoti. Theodore Sechikubo is independent, I beg your pardon. Brigadier Joseph Amoti running as independent, and Ainebiona Innocent also running as an independent. Now, an update regarding what happened in Rwemianga County, specifically where Theodore Sechikubo was supposed to vote from. We have information that he did not vote, and he alleges that his supporters and him were not allowed to vote. But since yesterday, we've been treating this as an allegation because we are yet to speak with any authority to speak over this specific aspect. But I also managed to talk to Theodore Sechikubo, who had promised to get back to me, but since yesterday, we are yet to get in touch, and he has also not appeared at the tally center. But there are other candidates whom we have been with at the tally center. Now, Maogola County, I am told there has been a little bit of inconveniences and chaos where there is a contestant known as Goreti Namugo of the NUP, a very vibrant woman there. There is Daisy Yuma for the National Resistance Movement. You have Dumba Dennis running as independent, and of course, Morris Muchiri. That is the information we got from that side, where they have witnessed inconvenience between the security agencies and absolutely the voters. Then we also have the presidential candidates, 8 of them. And from this side of Sembabule, when they were reading the preliminary results of the presidential candidates, for example, there are territories where the president, the sitting president, but who is a candidate for the NRM party, had a big margin with Chagulanyi Robert Sentamu, but there are other polling stations where Chagulanyi Robert Sentamu performed better than Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, and out of the 8 candidates, the other 6 were not really performing well. You could think the race is between the National Unity Platform candidate and NRM presidential candidate Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. From the Rwemianga side, from the results that I had the returning officer read, it is ably, though provisional. We shall wait for the returning officer to announce the result. In many of the polling stations, Emmanuel Rashande performed better, hitting a margin. For example, there are polling stations where he got about 400 votes, and Theodore Sechikubo had 2, 5, 7, and there were quite very many. And it was all the excitement from the people who are around here, and you could anticipate and say probably this time around the ball may fall in the hands of General Rashande. These are provisional, not my results. I am not a returning officer. So I am just informing you depending on the assessment and what exactly I have been witnessing in this area. For the woman member of parliament, one of the contestants raised concerns before the returning officer alleging that the voting has not been free and fair. There has been intimidation and allegations of ballot stuffing. In Remiaga, for example, as well, there are people who have absconded to vote simply because at the time they arrived at the polling station, the ballot boxes already had ballot papers, and they said, we shall not vote because this is not free and fair. But later on, we shall try to reach other colleagues and probably connect with the Electoral Commission boss to explain to us some of the inconveniences and the concerns that have been raised by those that have participated in this specific election. For now, this is the update I can give you, but for Zimbabwe district, we are still here, but I am told so we may leave this place at around 11 or midday because the tally is still ongoing. I hand back to studio.
Kawa, he did show us a picture of the pie chart on the screen that was on the left side of the returning officer's desk, and the pie chart was painted yellow. Not sure what it interprets, and they'll be telling us more, of course, because they cannot release any official numbers as we speak. But he also did speak into the fact that there are complaints of ballot boxes that were already filled before voting officially started. We'll definitely be getting facts on that particular matter. Now, I'll definitely come to Robert and John for you to just speak into what you think, Ivan, the report he has given us, from the pie chart he showed us, to what the returning officer made mention of. I'll start with you, John. What are your observations, or what are your 2 cents?
And of course, when we look at Zimbabwe district, it has over 17 sub-counties and town councils, and over 65 parishes and 505 villages. And the population for Zimbabwe is over 30,000, is over 305,971 people, and that is according to the the census report of 2024. And of course, when you look at the previous election of 2021, presidential election, Zimbabwe had over 132,240 registered voters, and only out of these 82,554 which made 2.1% voted. And of course, yes, in 2021, of course, the campaign for the presidential elections, and that is Joey Kaguta Museveni, 26.7%, while Luke had 40.7%, and the FDC had 0.30%, and the others accounted for the 1.3%. But for Oromia, of course, it has been one of the toughest MP seats when I go to the side of the MP's race. It has been one of the toughest MP seats that we had to look at, given the fact that there was a lot that transpired between between Sechkubo and Rashande. We saw the court and the petition to the Electoral Commission, and then also going to the High Court, where the High Court also held the decision of the Electoral Commission. Yesterday, when I watched Rashande casting his vote, he came out and said he realized something that there was a ballot paper that was being issued to a voter, and accidentally the EC official must have tailed it. So after casting his vote, he made statements of every person should be given one ballot paper, meaning even if this ballot paper has gotten some damage, the person should use that. So it made me wonder, ponder on something. How is that regarded? Is this a spoiled one? And is it an invalid one? Maybe the Electoral Commission next time will come out and tell us. Because if you give me a ballot paper that is damaged, do you consider it as spoiled, or because you've given it to me to use it? If I'm to speak of what Rashande was talking about, of course, even given the primaries of the NRM, we saw what has been happening. in the Remiaga County, and the fact that I don't know if later on Sekou went ahead and voted, but when we spoke to Ivan earlier on, he said he hadn't cast his vote when he got to that polling station, which was Remiaga headquarters, whereby the voters boycotted the voting because of the alleged reasons they were trying to front to the electoral commission. So I think it is still it is still something to look. It is still a constituency, a county to look out for. But from the provisional results, the fact that Rashande is in the lead. And by evening yesterday around 11 p.m. With Sekou it was a bit calm.
Right. I'll head over to you, Robert, just to get your 2 cents as to what the report that Ivan has given us. Given some of the things he has shown us, no numbers have been made mention of, no numbers have been stated because as the returning officer said, they are still counting, so everyone has to stay calm until the results are released. But from what you've seen and what you've heard, Ivan, come on, give us the report. What is your mind rolling on right now?
Well, I'll say that also in relation to what Johan has just said. Now, Zimbabwe is one of the areas that have been hotly contested. Hotly contested. In this election and even the previous election. But also, Zimbabwe is predominantly NRM. Unless this time things change. But history has it.
It's an NRM stronghold.
It's an NRM stronghold. And even when you see the battlegrounds have been more the Brigadier Rashande and Sekou. These are all NRM. Sekou is an independent, but of course he was is an independent leaning NRM, but it is known that it's even NRM. Just that, of course, he had participated in the primaries and things didn't go well for him. Now, I'm not shocked of the happenings in the report of Kapo. I will have a candidate who has been there for the last 25 years, but all the elective, there's even one time where I remember a picture of him training where he moved his pistol and had to fire. You know, so it has been hot, and actually I must say this time 2025 campaigns ushering us into 2026, I must say it has done better than 2021.
When it comes to peace?
When it comes to peace.
Okay.
2021, I remember I think I've given one of the names with the time we had to be hidden in hills. It was very chaotic. So I want to commend the security personnel and also the people of Zimbabwe that they have at least and let them maintain the peace.
Now, some of the areas that our reporters kept on giving an update over as of yesterday were areas like Uganda, Entebbe, Busiro South, Bugisu, and Sironko. And the general observation was, of course, the fact that there was a delay in the arrival of voting equipment. But of course, the BVV case, which was all over the country. But one of the highlights was the fact that in Rachura, candidate Museveni at his polling station, that is Karo High School polling station, he garnered 589 votes, 5 invalid votes, and of course others garnered 0 votes. The total number of votes there was 594. In other words, he literally won at that polling station through, and other candidates got no vote. Now, on that note, take note of the fact that in Bugisu, Sironko, candidate Mafabi did not win at his own polling station where he voted from. Now, looking at some of the hotly contested areas, we do have Mbali, Bugisu, we do have the race that is to be watched is with the woman MP from Mbali City, and that is between Lydia Wanyoto and the incumbent Koni Nakayenze Galiwango, who is contesting as an independent. She's an independent, but I think she was in her early, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, and the battle between that. But of course, there are other contenders that include Miss Sarah Kanabi, Wasagari Independent, Miss Harriet Kakai of the Forum for Democratic Change, and Miss Aisha Nakayenze from the National Unity Platform. And the other hotly contested area is still in Bali, is Northern City Division, where the atmosphere is tense, And these include lawyer Paul Wanyoto, independent, Mr. Ivan Masaba, and Luke Hussein, who was the RDC in Kampala, and now NRM flag bearer for that position there. And of course, the incumbent State Mwambede, who is on independent, and Uga-American independent. One of the things that have taken place for this election, civil is the very independent. In fact, I was having a conversation with someone yesterday and he said that what if Canada is very independent? What happens to the opposition? Who becomes the leader of the opposition? If the biggest number of as if opposing is independent candidates, what happens there? Because we've been around reporting and covering elections, but with the history that you carry and the experience that you have, what do you think might happen if it turns out like that independence supposed to have an actual opposition?
Now, the word independence in our code is used in our own terms. Then look at the framework of our constitution. What we call independence today is not independence. Because the framework of the constitution and even the sitting order of parliament was not what is today. We are misusing English. I must say. Because the framework of the constitution, this is what we had in now. They knew we are going to go into multi-party politics. But they still believe there are people who will not want to join any political party. And these people will not be denied the right to stand. That is why in our constitution, we don't have a referendum and we went into multi-party. There was that provision for independence. That we believe there are people who will not want to belong to any political party. Now, that is why when they say they are sitting, you have the NRM, or the government in power, the members belong to that particular party in power. You will have those opposing this other side, and you will have in the middle the sitting for that independence. That totally don't belong to any political party. Now come to what is of today. What we have today are people who belong to political parties. And if you look at most of their posters, I've seen independence, it's good to see their posters. If the independence of NRM, even their posters were in yellow, as we know, it was only the past that was missing. But they will try so much to identify the way. And they will still say that on their campaign trail. I vote that NRM candidate, you will commit that, will say, I'm NRM. They will say that I'm NRM. Now, if they were not, they will still tell you, I'll vote for Robert Yagulanyi. And they will still here say, I'm national unity. I'm a member of the unity. Now, what is going to happen? These people still have their party. They were probably not loyal when it came to them not taking that flag. How do you want to tell me you are not their super for a party? Didn't make it because you are still interested. And now you have a one who is second. Who confesses that I'm new?
He was denied the card actually. That is for the
And when I use the word they failed to secure because there's a process. No card verification and I not doing it. So these people when they get to parliament, most of them sign a memorandum of understanding with their political parties. Most of them. And you don't see them oppose their political parties. And I believe many who have come as independents in the next election, you see them back to their political parties, showing loyalty,
right,
to secure the party card.
I think what I can say about that, let's look at the structure. What does the law say? Does it say lead of opposition, lead of independence? So if in multi-party system here in the Constitution of Uganda, it says that the opposition must be coming from a party. Of course, we shall still hold the lead of opposition from a single party, not within the government. So I think the independence can still remain vocal in blocking or passing of bills and can still remain significant, but still the leader of opposition will have to come from.
He comes from the opposition party with the majority
Yes.
in the parliament.
Yes, yes, yes.
So
By the
automatically,
constitution.
when you look at which is likely to be the party with the majority in the parliament, it is most likely to be the National Unity Platform as well.
And of course, yes, that is why you find most of them are affiliated to certain political parties. They side with them in passing of this bill because they are very significant. They can really make a formidable force, pardon me about that, in case of passing or blocking of this. So whether the independents surpass the other opposition MPs in the next parliament, it's not a party, it's an independent person. So the constitution stipulates you stick to a single party, not in the government. It doesn't allow.
It will only be in terms of deliberation. Most of these independents will side with
for example,
the political parties that.
Remember, he was once termed as a rebel MP, but was still when it came to some motions being passed or bills being laws being enacted or bills being discussed, you would see things would lean on the NRM.
And so of rebel MPs, has Barnabas Tinkasimile featured in this election?
I haven't seen him.
I don't think I've had a lot, and he's someone who's very vocal. I don't know, but if you've had a lot about him, he's someone who's very vocal and you can't miss him, but I've missed him a lot, quite a lot.
And then, talk about that. I'm imagining the same if Sechikobo had listened to the constitution of the NRM party to stand with the flag bearer for the NRM. I think things would be different as we speak. But of course, everyone, candidate has their own interests when it comes to standing in. And of course, if it comes to the appeals in the High Court that the court dismissed, I think it would have, if I were Sechikobo, I would have rethought this decision of, continuing to be a candidate. I'm basing this, and my analysis, my submission, on the provisional results that are coming in from Sembabule district, specifically Reniaga County, where Rwashande is now in the lead.
Indeed, and we are getting in touch with Namfuka Farida, who is in Bugisu sub-region, to give us an update as to what is happening at that side. Good morning, Namfuka.
Good morning.
A pleasure having you this morning. All right, what have you so far garnered from that side of Bugisu sub-region? Give us a feel of what's happening. Right.
So, yeah, so what started at Toronto district headquarters where we are right now, where we spent the night tallying the results from different polling stations and sub-counties in Toronto district. And so far what is there is, so far they have tallied almost half the sub-counties because the sub-counties are 42. And so far they have tallied like over 20
All right, Farida, with the tentative results that you've so far given, with what is taking place at the Tally Center, are there candidates who feel there is unfairness going on and maybe there's some form of complaint? Is there a contentment right now taking shape with some of the candidates that they are content with the results? What is the feeling so far with the tentative results that are coming through?
Yes, the candidates are really following what is being tallied because they also have they also have them manually. So as they tally the other side, they also follow here and they also add because they also have the DRR forms. So when they discover that actually one polling station has been skipped, they actually they notify the returning officer to ensure that it is included. Some candidates are here following, some are not around, but some are there.
Nafuka, let's
Yes.
also paint a picture of the environment. How was it yesterday? How was it throughout the night? And how is it currently?
Okay, yesterday, the voting that I followed was in the Bunazoni Parish, Bunazoni Chosen Church polling station in Busamaga, sub-county in Siroko district. That is where the presidential candidate for FDC, Nathaniel Mafari, voted from, because that is his home area. So Mafari reached at the polling station at around 11 and he found when they were just preparing to start the exercise. And he actually scorched he stood in that scorching sun and he lined up like any other person, just because it's not that because he's just a presidential candidate who would line up to just go. But he lined up with his family and actually was patient and the voting started at that time of 11. And what may have caused the delay is the electronic voter verification machines that were not so effective. According to the candidate, when he reached the place to vote, he put the fingerprint, but was not denied by the machine, according to him. But then later he used another finger and it was approved, and then he was able to vote. And his observation at the police station was that because of that ineffectiveness of that machine, like 11 people were actually turned away.
Now,
Yeah.
regarding, you said you were at the polling station where he voted. From a person who was there, how did he perform at that particular polling station?
Yes, at that particular polling station, Mafabi garnered like 146 votes. And then the NRM candidate garnered like 157 votes. That means it was a difference of only like 11 votes in that area. The candidate for NRM took the lead, and Mafari was second, and then the National Unity Platform candidate was third with 18 votes, and then the others followed.
Okay.
Okay, Farida, thank you so much for that update. But please paint a picture of the security atmosphere as we speak right now. Are the men and women in uniform still highly visible there where you are?
Yeah, they are visible at the entrances because entering the tally center requires one trap have been accredited by the Electoral Commission. They are visible from.
All right, thank you very much, Farida. We'll definitely be getting back to you to give us more of the details, but indeed what you've given us is something to chew on and to ponder on, and totally appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Have a good one. Now, Farida was coming from Sironko, and that is on the side of Bugisu, where the candidate Nana Fabi was one at his own polling station, but by a difference of what, about 11-10 votes?
146 and 157.
Yes, and we're looking at So far, the tentative result that is coming from there, NRM is in the lead, that is candidate Yoweri Museveni for presidency, 18,730 votes so far. FDC coming 7 with 9,537 votes, and Loop in third place with 2,257 votes. And looking at Budani East with members of parliament on the NRM's, Julius is leading. I did not get quite the tabulation there, but I took note of the fact that he is leading. And FDC is coming in second with 5,602 votes, and Budani West FDC is in second place, and Independent is in first place in Budani West. And the woman MP Sironko Loop is leading, and Nambozo coming into second place. I think Nambozo could be NRM. I think she did not stake the party there, but Loop is leading in for woman MP Sironko. Robert, what's going through your mind? I can see a lot is going through your mind, and you need to spew it. Please take.
Well, this still shows that many Ugandan voters are still locked in the movement system.
The system, okay.
Because it is when you go to a polling station, you are voting for 3 people as of yesterday. You are voting the president, you are voting directly elected member of parliament, and you are voting for district woman member of parliament. Now, if you can see that President Museveni leads the NRM candidates, you know, sometimes you fail to dodge the other one. He is still the president until another has been sworn in. So he's the incumbent, but of course a candidate. So let me say that Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the NRM candidate, you find that in this area is leading. Now, when you go to directly elected member of parliament, then FDC comes in and leads. When you go to woman member of parliament, NUP comes and takes that day.
Right.
Don't forget, these are the same people who bought the 3 ballot papers. But they forget that they are NRM or they are NUP or they are FDC at one candidate. So that means multi-party has not yet sunk. People are still so much into the movement system, or some parties presented candidates that people, much as they would love their political parties, but they felt for the good of their development, for their constituency and the country, they have to put that party's decision aside.
Very profound at that. Now, on your screen, of course, as we go on throughout the show, the results from the National Tally Center will also be displayed so that you're able to follow through with every detail as it is right now. But in the meantime, let me come to you, Joe, and just get your 2 cents as well from what Nampuka has just shared as provisional results and tentative results from Sironko in Mogesu.
It's quite a statement that a presidential candidate were from a polling station where everyone expecting to sweep the votes is actually in second place, which is not the case with some of the candidates. For example, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, where he voted from, of course, I think you say it's only 5 invalid votes, and the rest of the votes went to him. From where Chagulani votes from, we are yet to hear what happened. But it speaks volumes, especially to that candidate, because we expect that person to be a sweetheart at that polling station because we believe the people should always have your back. But of course, it says something to the political environment, Ugandans, the way Ugandans perceive it. It could be a role of independence, it could be a role of primaries, and it could be also attributed to the political parties themselves. Because I've seen for women, Julie, I think it is an independent lady on the woman representative for MP. That is leading, and it's quite intriguing, independent but leaning somewhere. So it is quite intriguing, and maybe political parties could look at their primaries again in the next election, and also highly scrutinize petitions that are filed during those primaries. But of course, Julie, I'm excited that around 9, we're expecting the Electoral Commission Chairman Justice Diabakama to give us some more updates of their results from the National Talent Center as they come through.
Right. And as we're looking at some of the hotly contested areas, one of the areas to pay heed to, and I'll leave that thought for you guys until we come back to talk about it. It's Teso, where the State Minister for Fisheries, Helen Adoa Abeku, faces a stiff competition from Lucy Achom in Serere District Woman MP race. And then in Orungo County, Foreign Affairs Minister General Jeje Odong, faces NRM flag bearer Teddy Anyuk, meaning Jeje Odong is actually on independent ticket. And of course, that is one I'd love for you to chew on, and when we get back, definitely you'll be telling me what do you think of this one. Quite interesting. But results coming in Maruzi County in Apak District. Peter Obong Achuda of UPC is what I meant to say, not UBC. UPC garnered 12,421 votes, bringing him to 54.22%. And Moses Opeto of NRM garnered 10,488 votes, bringing him to 45.78%. and giving us a total number of valid votes as 22,909, a total number of invalid votes 233 votes, that is to a tune of 1.01%, and the total number of votes cast 23,144 votes, that is bringing us to a percentage of 50.88%. This is in Maruzi County in Apak District. Poll votes from there were recorded as 34, declaring officially Peter Obong Achuda declared as winner for the Apak District Member of Parliament, direct member of Parliament of Maruzi County. Now that is the one win that we already have so far as official results from Apak District in Maruzi County, UPC taking the lead.
Well, I'm not surprised. Not surprised because there are some areas like we can say, unless 2026 changed, that there are some areas we know that these are specifically for a long time have been dominated by such a political party. And in that particular constituency, UPC is still strong. UPC is still strong.
Indeed. Indeed. Now let's have a short break, but when we get back, we're having a conversation with the chairman of the National Youth Council in just a bit. So stay tuned to UBC TV. We are inspiring you and definitely inspiring you with the right facts and content that you need for this election and voting season. Good morning.